So our first caller is Chris from San Diego. Chris, are you there, honey?
Yes.
Where are you? Where is that, Chris?
San Diego.
There he is. Hi, Chris. Hi. Hi.
How's it going?
So, sweetheart, read what you wrote to me so we can all be on the same page here.
Yeah, well, I don't have the exact question, but the question was that when I do the work on people in my past that have worked with me or have been rude to me, I do it because I keep seeing forgiveness is the key to happiness. And how I think in your cleanse you mentioned that when you realize the past is not really true, the fear goes away.
Yeah.
And I do the work on trivial things like people who have been unfair, and I do the turnarounds, and I realize that it's me, that what I'm seeing in them is really what I'm seeing in me, and it's all just my thinking. With anger, it has nothing to do with that person, and I feel so much better. Then in a day or two that
it comes back.
Come back. And
yeah.
I keep thinking, does this mean I need to do the work on the problem in myself, or just keep doing it like 10 days in a row to break that thinking habit?
Yeah. Well, for me, once I see, it's like I believe something. And then once I do inquiry, when I see it's not true, I can no longer believe it again. But what I'm hearing from you, Chris, is there's this thing I call the underworld. And so you have the thought, they're rude to me. And then this underworld, or that person was rude toward me. And this underworld that I'm speaking of bombards any realization, overrides any realization that you could possibly hold. So this underworld is unfinished business. Now, I've designed the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet to carry that underworld, to hold it. So the situation on statement number 1 on the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, and all of you out there that are new to the work, it's free at thework.com. We also have an app for it, that keeps it really simple where you can do it wherever you are, but it's always free at thework.com. And I think it's $1.99 if you are away from home a lot and your computer and want to work through these concepts. But the problem is, blank, let's say Jim was rude to me. Okay, then, sweetheart, you close your eyes. You have a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet there. We're going to judge Jim. Okay, you close your eyes, and then you allow that past to be present now. And you see that images of when and where he was being rude to you, where you had the thought, and where all those emotions of resentment happened, okay, where you experienced them. Now, on that Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, you can collect your thoughts and catch that underworld. So let's say the problem is, what I'm upset about is Jim was rude to me. Okay, now in that situation, now we enter meditation. The next, statement 2 on the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet is I want. Okay, now this is where the seeker, the meditator, really begins to understand a lot. So what did you want, honey, in that moment? And hold the image of that past and those emotions and identify in your mind, what did you want? And it is there. It's there. What did you want?
Okay.
So you can see that worksheet, it's meditation, just like the 4 questions and turnaround. It's meditation.
And do this while I'm writing the worksheet.
Yeah. Those images will show you, and any feelings and emotions that may be there, maybe even smells, tastes, hold that image of that time, that past now. And then identify with your eyes, go, what did you want? And then move to number 3 on the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, statement number 3. What advice would you offer that person? So Jim should be polite. Jim shouldn't hurt my feelings. Jim should see that I'm a kind and caring human being. He should know I have feelings. And then you can really get to some advice, like physical advice. Like, what was there? You know, what advice would you offer this man? And you see him in your mind's eye being rude. Jim should see how mean he looks. He should soften his attitude. He should open his mind. In other words, whatever advice is in there, it was running and you can see it. Then you fill in the advice in statement number 3. Then you move to statement number 4 on the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. So see how we're collecting the thoughts that we were experiencing in that moment we were hurt. It's so much fun to identify the cause of our suffering. I mean, to really know it so that when we sit there and when we sit in it, we question it. It's, you know, I wouldn't be sitting here with you. I just could not be sitting here with you if I weren't so excited about this. You know, I've been doing this for 27 years. And I find it as exciting now as I did in that moment. It's like, oh my gosh. And, you know, it works or I wouldn't be sitting here, but it really is meditation. It takes mindfulness, but we may as well, because it's running our life anyway, so we may as well let that past live now and collect it. And then question it. Collecting it is the cause of all war. It's the cause of all separation. And it shows us why we cannot forgive. So then we move to the next one. And what did I need in that situation to be happy when he was being so rude? So now I hold that image, because if I lose the image, I lose the ability to fill in the worksheet.
Okay, so the image, right?
Yeah, the image of when he was being rude.
So
Because that's the thinking I want to collect, to question, because that's when I was hurt.
Okay. So really put myself back in that situation.
Yes.
And hear the words.
Hear the self-talk.
Okay.
Hear the ego just running your life, no love in it. Or no awareness of love in it. Because the ego, you know, it's innocent too. It's just looking for a home in the heart. And so we've got this war going. It can never find a home. So this is where we just really let the ego speak. Let it have its full life. On that Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, then as we question it, the ego begins to wake up to its true nature. And then that's a very powerful thing, because that is the end of pain and suffering.
Okay.
So when someone's rude, we see the extreme opposite. They're not being rude; they're being helpful.
Right.
Like, what did he say or do that seemed that felt rude to you?
Oh, I can think of several ones, but just he made fun of a friend of mine.
And what did he say?
He said it was a friend of mine who was a girl, and he said, "Boy, I can think of a lot of reasons why you'd want to dump that person. She's dumpable."
Well, have you ever had those thoughts about her? About maybe being intimate in some way, just even fleetingly?
Not that I know of.
Well, have you ever had those thoughts about any woman, just even fleetingly?
Yes.
Okay, so he, when we look at it, we can see that he, like if that's me and my boyfriend and someone said that, I think that guy knows me pretty well. He's just got the wrong body. But I have thought that way. I have, it's not foreign to me. In other words, he's just like me. I just don't want him pointing that out. My identity is at risk here. My identity is I am the man that would never think that way. Well, the truth is I am the man that does. So, and we find the way, maybe you just do it just a tiny bit, maybe just one time. But he's, it's like a rude person in my world is someone that calls me on my secrets. The secrets I keep even from myself. That's why this is such intimate work. And it's why it's so difficult. It's, what are your thoughts about what I just said?
You mean throughout the whole thing? Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. Cause whenever I do a judging every worksheet, I do myself now back at the memory of him doing stuff like that. I don't actually go back into the actual scenario.
Yeah. It will really. And then when you get really still, it could be that when I get really still, it could be that I have had those thoughts about her. And they were of no consequence. And I just really didn't even notice, but they were there. This work is about being, and that doesn't mean I'm a mean person or a bad person or a guilty person. Thought happens. Mm-hmm. It happens. It's not even mine. It's like thought happens, just like we're being breathed. We're being thought. And it's just, just noticing. And any kind of separation. So this man, was he being rude or was he being right? And so I look at that, and then when I turn it around, he is being rude, turned around. I am being rude. So now give me an example. Each turnaround needs examples, 2 or 3, 4 examples. In that moment, that situation, again, this is meditation, where in that moment were you rude to him?
I immediately thought, what an idiot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your thoughts toward him are somewhat like his thoughts toward her. Mm-hmm. He was being rude to himself. You were being rude to you. And the important thing is you were being rude to you, and that hurt you. So that's one. Give me another example of where you were rude toward him in that situation. Always stay in that situation, in that moment when you were angry.
Well, that moment I said, well, I'm not hanging around with this guy anymore.
Yeah. So you were costing you a friend. And that's not right or wrong. We can choose not to be friends with people and still stay 100% connected. Mm-hmm. We don't have to have coffee with them the next day. It's just that connection need not be broken. If I am not connected with you, I have to look to my thinking, because I can be connected and like I feel connected to everything and everyone in the universe, but I don't have time for them all. Yeah. Even though I do on one hand and I don't on another. But so we began to see that there's some work to do, and it is, to notice the next time you have thoughts about him, how you're affecting your life, how you're separating, and how rude you are being to yourself in that separation.
And just put myself back in that moment.
And in the moment, it's in that moment. And it's even a new moment. It's like you're having coffee a month later and you think, that guy was rude. And you may just smile and laugh. In this moment, I'm being rude. You know, I'm costing me my moment.
Right.
You know, I'm busy focusing on him so my ego can stay alive.
Yeah.
But it's costing me this moment, you know, this being present right here, right now. And because this is a kind world to be present in.
Yeah.
That dream world, like 2 months ago, that we're still resenting, that's how we hold on to that illusion of a past. So it's a wonderful thing to be present, because this is where all the gifts are. This is where no rudeness can live, and if it is, we know what to do with it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So then on statement number 5 on the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, he is, like I'll use the name again, Jim is, that rude Jim is. And then we collect the thoughts that we were thinking of him in that situation when he was being rude. So we're holding the image. Jim is, and I recall he is rude. He's uncaring. He's a womanizer. He is disrespectful. You know, those thoughts are running through, and we're experiencing them, feeling them. Okay, and then on the last one, what is it that you never want to happen again in that situation? What is it you never want to experience again?
I don't ever want to experience him making fun of other people.
Yes. So I'm willing to?
I'm willing to experience him making fun of other people.
I look forward to?
I look forward to him making fun of other people.
Yeah, I look forward to experiencing him, looking forward, him being rude to other people. Because it could happen again in life with him or someone. And it can happen in our head if we never see it again in life. Here comes Jim again in your mind's eye in that situation. So it's like it's happening again. So whatever is left belongs on another Judge Your Neighbor worksheet.
Okay.
And it could be that if you're like me, and I'm believe me, I'm not special. I just am someone that knows the difference between what hurts and what doesn't. That's all. That's all. It's that simple. And I found inquiry, or inquiry found me, really. But if when he hits my head, that image of Jim hitting my head, being rude, if I'm not smiling over it, and it may not look like a smile, but like an internal understanding of what, it's almost as smiling about how innocent I was and how angry I was and how self-righteous I was. And you know, I'm experiencing like, how could I have been so asleep? When that image hits my head, it's like an inner smile that doesn't necessarily show. It's a joy that I'm living. And prior to the work, when that image hit my head, I was angry. I gossiped about him. I told, you know, all these injustices, and I was here to tell it. That was my job on earth, you know, and I wasn't able to right a lot of wrongs until the work found me. And so I'm correcting my own, and that gives me a very valuable life. There's one kinder human being in the world, and less war.
Thank you.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. It's wonderful to see your smiling face today.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, my gosh.